Hello, and welcome to another session of virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley. My name is Bati Blumenthal. I'm the branch supervisor of the Putterham location of the Public Library of Brookline. Virtual gentle chair yoga with Keith Beasley is sponsored by the Friends of the Brookline Public Library, who sponsor this program and programs like it. As always, participation in this online yoga program could result in injury. Not all exercises presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for proper medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. The creators, teachers, and producers assume no responsibility for injuries from participation in this program. And with that, I give you Keith.
Let's go ahead and start in our mountain pose. So sitting up nice and tall. I was given an option here. You could always stand up in mountain pose too. If you're tired of sitting or you don't want to sit, it's always nice to vary your posture, assuming balance is okay. And you could always, if you wanted to stand too, you could stand behind your chair and rest the fingers gently like this. You could even sometimes just standing up right next to the chair so that you're touching it, not leaning so much, but touching it. And we get information from when we touch things. It's kind of like, it's like when we walk in the dark. Roseanne, are you able to spotlight me by chance, please? Thank you. When you walk around in the dark, right? One of the things that we do is we actually reach out and we touch things. And if that happens to you, notice how it makes you feel more secure. Not just because you're not going to run into it, but it actually gives us it creates a sense of connection with, we call that proprioception, that experience of sensing where our body is in space. And so let's sit up nice and tall or stand up nice and tall and work with the diaphragmatic breathing. So we always begin with centering. And one of the best ways to center, to bring the attention of the mind inwards, is to use the breath. So we feel the belly going in and out with the breath. Diaphragmatic means to activate or to concentrate a little bit more on the large muscle that is underneath the lungs. And when that muscle contracts, when we breathe in, it moves down the lungs, it pulls the air into the lungs, and the belly expands. Like a balloon, as if your lungs were like a balloon, and as the lungs expand, the belly expands like a balloon as well. Maybe even giving a sigh as you exhale. An audible sigh is a nice way to relax. And if you are seated, you have the option of closing the eyes here if that's comfortable. And then we can further focus our attention on the breath so our eyes do not distract us. And then go ahead and feel the soles of the feet. Go ahead and feel the soles of the feet either on the floor, inside your shoes, and just wiggle them a little bit. Wiggle the toes up and down, spread the toes out. Even if you're in shoes, they'll spread a little bit. Unless you have really tight shoes, and tight shoes are actually not good for us. If the shoes are too tight, the toes get bunched up, the circulation is cut down. Not enough. That's not good. So please remember to get shoes that are not too small. So we're feeling the soles of the feet pressing down. We're feeling the belly expanding, going in and out with the breath. And then we're going to extend the spine up. So this is we call micro movements of the spine. The vertebrae are separating very, very small amounts, a micro amount. So you might not notice it, but we work on getting that feeling of lifting. And let's try this to help. Let's rest the fingers on the out towards the knees like this. So notice my fingers are spread apart, resting the palms on the thighs. And then as I inhale, I have my tips of my fingers wrapped on the knees. I'm going to gently pull with the arms. So it's a small pull. It's just a little bit, and it's to give me a feeling of lifting in the heart and lifting in the ribs and lifting in the spine. So from the side, it would look like this. So it's a small movement, inhaling and lifting up and extending the spine at the same time. So all these things are happening together. So I'm very gently pulling on the fingertips. Notice how the arms are straight, and then feeling the sitting bones and then extending the spine up. And sometimes by lifting these front ribs and lifting the heart right where the sternum is, right here, and the collarbones, we get that feeling of upness. So we want to feel that lengthening, so micro lengthening. So the movement is very small, but we're engaging the muscles that are creating this lifting up through the spine. Even the back of the neck is extending. So back here, try not to drop the head backwards, keep the chin even with the floor, and then extend the back of the neck up. It's as if the crown of the head is floating up. So as we breathe in, we press the feet down and imagine that upness is traveling up through the legs. Find the sitting bones, up through the sitting bones, up through the spine, lifting the heart and the ribs and the crown of the head. And then as we exhale, we soften the shoulders, soften the face and eyes. Keep the lift a little bit. Don't collapse when you exhale, but let go of some of the effort. So we talk about in the Yoga Sutras, we talk about balancing ease and effort. So sthira sukham asanam, that means effort and ease in our asanas. And these are our asanas, our postures. So we're sitting up nice and tall, and let's add a little bit of movement to it. So we'll bring the palms together right in front of the heart, and to further help lift everything up, we're going to let the arms float around in a circle. So we're inhaling as the hands are floating up, lifting the heart. Maybe the chin lifts slightly. And perhaps noticing the pelvis rocks forward slightly. So there's a little pelvic tilting or rocking, sometimes we call it. And when we rock the pelvis, the shape of the lumbar spine changes a little. So we don't want to have too much arch, and we don't want it to be rounded in the opposite like this. We're not rounding backwards. We're keeping the arch in the lower back, but it's changing. So we're inhaling. So we get a little bit bigger arch without overarching. If you find that you're overarching, bring a little more attention to the abdomen, to the belly here, and firm the belly up. So as the belly firms up, we'll get a little bit less arching in the back. We'll get more stability. So it's almost like the navel stays in position relative to the spine instead of moving forward and back so much. You might notice that the shoulder blades are circling around. So the arms are, we can see them, and then see if you can feel the shoulder blades behind the arms, moving forward and back, and moving in a circle up and down. So they're kind of going like this behind you. So bringing some mobility to the thoracic spine area. that spot right between the shoulder blades. When that moves a little more freely, it makes the whole back move more freely. That's usually the place that moves the least in the back. Let's go the other way. Bring the palms together, and then we'll release the hands down, and then turn the palms up, and they float up. So there's still a little pelvic rocking. There's still a little bit of the chin going up and down. The shoulder blades are circling now in the opposite direction. The heart is lifting. So as the shoulder blades circle, the sternum right here, the heart lifts forward, almost as if it's opening, like we're going to open our heart. And they say that in our yoga practice, as we begin to open up the spine, as we begin to extend the spine, and the back begins to open a little bit more, the heart, we get a feeling of opening in the heart, an emotional feeling, not just a physical feeling, but it affects us, it affects the nervous system and our emotions. So sometimes as the spine begins to move, we can actually get a little more emotional. And it's not surprising because the spine is a part of the nervous system, and the nervous system is very much connected to the brain, which is connected, which is our emotions. And then bringing the hand down. We're going to do bend the spine in 6 ways. The first one is what we call cat and cow, or seated cat and cow. So, but like before, we're going to hang the fingers out over the knees, and I'll turn so you can see, and we're going to inhale and lift the heart forward. So the emphasis this time is on this movement of the chest, movement forward on the inhalation, and then movement back on the exhalation. So the arms are not bending. The arms are staying relatively straight. Although they're relaxed, they're not locked. Don't lock the elbows here, but try not to bend the arms so much. So the relative position of the shoulder, the hand, and the hip stays the same. And then I'm offering my heart forward. And then as I exhale, it goes back. The shoulder blades spread out to the side. And you might notice that pelvic rocking. So this is a little more emphasis on, so in our cat and cow, the cow portion is the chest coming forward, and then the cat portion, like an angry cat rounding its back like this. And so we're going back and forth with the breath. If you're feeling sluggish, you can breathe slightly faster. And so the movement a little faster will bring a little more energy. If you're already energized enough and you want to calm things down, go slower. Take a little longer with the inhalation. Take a little longer with the exhalation. So we can use the breath to control our how we're feeling, our energetic level, to be either calmer or to be more energetic. And so that's bending the spine in 6 ways. That's number 1 and 2. So that's a flexion and extension of the spine forward and back in this direction, like this. And then we're going to do a lateral extension. So we'll start with the hands right here, just at the shoulders, and then begin to lean. So as you lean, the weight shifts into the buttock on one side, the sitting bone on one side. See if you can keep the side that you're shifting to, the ribs, long here. So as I lean over, notice that I'm not curling like this. I'm not dropping the elbow on that side. I'm leaning and then keeping the length in this outside of the torso. And then you could add a little bit more if you extend the arm, get a little bit more bending a little more lengthening. And at some point, you are going to start to bend a little bit to the side. So you'll get a little more, this side will shorten. And we add the breath to it, or we follow the breath here. We're inhaling and exhaling down and inhaling up. If it bothers your shoulder to extend the arm, just try keeping the elbow bent. You could even work, if you need support with the hands on the chair, or with one hand on the chair even, and then switch hands each time. So that as you lean over, it feels like you're still in balance, still supported in the chair. We want to feel grounded. So even though as we lean over, this one buttock on this side is going to lift, you could even lift the leg up if you wanted. Just make sure that you can keep your balance. Don't fall out of the side of the chair. Of course, you could use a chair with arms on it too. So that's if you do have balance concerns, get a chair with arms. And that way you've got an arm to hold on to as you lean to the side. And you actually have an arm, no matter what we're doing, you have an arm to hold on to. And then coming back down. So that is 3 and 4, bending the spine. So that's the lateral extension like this. And the last one is going to be a turning. So we're going to start just by moving the elbows back. Be mindful not to whack the back of the chair or the arms on the chair. So start off slow. So if you do happen to bump something, it doesn't, it's not a problem, or not a big problem. We always want to be kind to ourselves in our yoga practice. So our ahimsa, our non-violence. And then the next time you turn to the right, go ahead and let the hands float down. So that left hand is going to go to the outside of the right knee, and that right hand is going to go somewhere, either to the back side of the chair back here, somewhere to the back behind you. You could even, from the side, it would look like this. You could even place the hand palm on the seat of the chair like this, or you could reach all the way across and grab the outside of the chair on the other side. And we're going to practice this as a passive twist, which means that we will bring the arms around. We'll let the body turn to follow the arms without turning the head, though. The head is going to be neutral on the shoulders. And then we inhale up and exhale, relax. So I'm not turning anymore once I get into the position. I'm inhaling and lengthening, exhaling, softening. So the inhalation is accompanied by the lengthening up through the spine, perhaps pressing the soles of the feet down for support, sitting bones pressed down, lengthening up, and then softening, relaxing, letting go of the shoulders and the face and the eyes, relaxing the jaw and the tongue and the throat. And then inhaling one more time, and then turning back. So the head can come back first, and that back hand comes around, and the front hand comes around. We come back to our mountain pose, sitting up nice and tall. So get length in the spine first. The vertebra turn with more ease if the spine is longer. And then we'll turn to the opposite side, and we find a spot for that back hand, and that front hand is on the outside of the knee. We're inhaling and extending up, exhaling, softening the shoulders, relaxing the face and the eyes. Letting the breath do the work here. So the inhalation is extending the spine, and the inhalation is lifting and extending the spine, And the exhalation is softening, relaxing, releasing every part of the body. And then one more inhalation, extend the spine up, and then begin to turn back. First, the head starts to turn, then that back hand comes around, front hand comes around. Let's just go to the other side for a moment. Back, like a little counter turn. So that's bending the spine in 6 ways. Let's lean from side to side. I'm going to start to engage the abdomen here. So I start just lifting. You can start with just lifting the heels like this and leaning a little. And then we can progressively get a bigger movement. Making sure that we still have a feeling of balance. We have a feeling of control with the core muscles right here in the belly, but they're starting to firm up. You should feel this area is firm now as you're leaning and you're moving with control. So if you lean to the side and you lift the foot up, notice how everything firms up right in the middle. We have to bring our tension there, firm everything up, and at the same time, keep the spine lengthened. So even though I'm lifting and leaning, there's a firmness in the belly. And stay with that idea. If you want to make it more challenging, you can go slower, lift higher. You could even get the arms involved. If you wanted to send an arm up, you could do that as well, or even an arm out to the side like this. So you notice with the arms out to the side, you start to, the balance begins to move to the side. So you have to keep things even more firm in the middle. So this has changed our center of gravity with the arms out or up. So it's a little easier with the hands in at the belly. It gets more challenging with the hands out. So be mindful of that. Always work within your own personal limits. And it's better to start small, do less. And then you can always add stuff. Much better than overdoing it and then having to, feel, have things start to not feel great when you do it. And then you have to dial everything back. And let's come back down and slide forward in the chair. So this is one where the sitting bones are going to be near the front edge of the chair. So it'll look like this. Notice the back of the chair is open, but I want to make sure I still am firmly in the chair. The backs of the thighs are out in the open. And I'm going to spread the feet out enough so that I have a nice triangular shape here and support it. If you notice, if you put your feet too close together, as you begin to circle around, you don't have any support. So this is nice and stable, and we're able to keep the spine lengthened. Go ahead and look out across the room a little bit. Try not to look down. We want to keep the spine lengthened. It's as if the front of the body here is lengthening up the same as the back of the body. The same idea as when we were bending to the side. We're not collapsing the front of the body. We're not curving it. We're lengthening. And so that the back and the front are both lengthening together. And if you want to make it more challenging, you can begin to stir the hands around like you're stirring a giant pot of soup. Maybe some, it's a little early for tomatoes here, but maybe some gazpacho. There are pretty good tomatoes out there now. And if you want to make it still more challenging, you can release the hands and let the hands float around. So you have to find what works for you here. And they're all good. Even the hands on the knees like this is still excellent, especially if you're keeping the spine lifted. You'll notice the abdomen and the back and the sides are engaging, and that's what we're looking for. Let's go the other way. It's that engagement in the core of the body, this area right in here from the pelvis up to the ribs. So we've switched directions. And then you can add, remember those arms, however you want. Being mindful that, if you really release the arms, it's a lot heavier work with the abdomen. So we don't want to tire ourselves out. We don't want to start to breathe in a strained manner. We want the breath to be engaged, but also to be a little bit relaxed, that ease and effort that we talked about before. So if you find that you're over efforting, come back a little. You might feel the sitting bones underneath you. So if your chair is firm, like this is a wooden chair, I can feel the bones at the base of the pelvis as I go around. So we don't want it to hurt. We do not want that area to hurt, but we don't want it to be so soft that you can't feel anything there. We need to feel the sitting bones a little bit so we're able to feel the grounding of the sitting bones and then lengthen up. And some cactus breaths here, bringing the palms together and inhaling. So just swinging the arms up and open, swinging them up and open. Perhaps the chin lifts a little, perhaps the pelvis rocks slightly forward. I'm not really trying to do that though. Chest lifts. So as we move one part of the spine, it moves the other parts. That's normal. And if you want, you can give yourself a little hug too as you exhale. A little hug. Let's do the neck. We'll lift the chin up and then release it down. Feel the support from the feet and the spine as you do this. So we want to keep the up feeling, the lengthening of the spine, the grounding in the feet as we're lifting the chin up. And then as we release the chin down, there's a little bit of a softening in the spine, but not collapsing. So we're never collapsing our spine. So it's a bad habit, actually. So if you start to get tired, the best thing to do is to provide some support. So you could do that with the back of the chair even, sliding all the way to the back of the chair. And then the chair gives you a little bit of support so we don't collapse. And then we're going to tip the head. Of course, if you need more, then don't use the back of the chair. I'm going to rock. It's like the ear is going to rest on the shoulder. You could even add a pillow. And the breath too. So the breath that you're inhaling on the way up, exhaling as we release to the side. So our rule of thumb in yoga is usually we're inhaling on the way up or when we're lengthening. And as we're bending, we soften and relax and release. That's typical. I don't always do it that way, but it's a nice way to practice. Especially if you have a little pillow like this, it really allows the neck to relax and the shoulders to relax because we get some support from the arms and the hands. And then coming back up, and we'll turn the head. So keeping the face facing straight ahead, and let's swing the arm here with it. Keep the elbow drop down. let's lower the hand down a little bit. So we want to have the shoulder relaxed here. So both shoulders are actually relaxed. We're going to swing the finger back and forth. And as the finger swings, we're going to let the neck follow it. And let's switch hands. Doesn't have to be exact. And now let's go in the opposite direction. So the finger is going to go in one direction and the head is going to turn in the other, and then they're going to go to the opposite side. You may need to slow down a little bit to get the rhythm right with this. Shoulders relaxed, the elbow is relaxed, and the spine's extending up. So sometimes we have to remind ourselves. We start to get into this feeling what's happening in one area, and other things start to take flight. We forget about them. We have to bring a little bit of attention back, get the spine lifting up again. Let's switch hands again and do that opposite on this side. And then sitting up nice and tall, we'll begin to circle. Imagine you're drawing, you have a pen on the tip of the nose, and you're starting a spiral. So that the spiral is getting larger and larger. And then let's go the other way. So starting out with bigger circles and then start to spiral in, please. And we find that with practice, when we do this with over a period of time, we get better at the spiral. The spiral becomes smoother, and the spacing becomes more uniform. Or we move the going from bigger to smaller becomes a more uniform, sort of gradual step by step, instead of maybe a little spotty. But it just takes practice and sitting up nice and tall. Take a couple of breaths. And let's rock the feet and the hands too. So begin by rocking the feet though. Get the feet moving forward and back. So this is a spot where if you had a block or a box of tissues or something, something light, you could put it between the thighs. The knee is here, the groin is here. Be kind of in the middle, between the knee and the groin. And we can rock. And this activates the inner thighs just a bit. So I'm not squeezing too hard here. And once I get the feet rocking, so the balls of the feet are lifting up, heels are lifting up, I'm going to add the hands to it. So the hands are swinging forward and back with the feet. Same rhythm here. And maybe even the heart lifts. So as the hands swing out, the heart lifts up. And as the hands come back in, the heart moves back in the other direction. So it's a small movement in the spine here. Small movement. Relaxing the palms, relaxing the soles of the feet here. So see if you can let the skin on the palms and the skin on the soles of the feet, we bring our attention there and let them soften. Let them soften. You could even create a little circle if you wanted with the hands. So we still have the feet rocking like they were doing before, and now we've added this circling of the hands forward and back. And the hands are still, the fingers are still going in and out. And let's see if we can do it the other way. I'm still, feet are rocking. And now the circling, you could even make bigger circles if you're so inclined. See if you can keep the rhythm going the same. So that if you're making bigger circles with the hands, they're going to have to move faster. And it can be a bit challenging actually to do that. That can be homework. You can practice that at home. It's a nice, it adds a feeling of gracefulness though to the hands. And I like that a lot actually. So whenever I can feel more graceful, it's like dancing, right? When you dance, it makes us feel graceful, and it's a natural, we dance, it is a natural experience that humans do. And I'm not sure, there's not really a lot of animals that do it, maybe some birds, but not exactly like us humans. So hopefully everybody likes dancing. And let's sit up nice and tall. And let's see, so we did the neck, we did the ankles. Let's do the knees now, sliding back in the chair. And then lifting. So if you're going to do this, if you're going to work on the joints at home like this, start at the outer edges of the body, like the toes and the ankles and the fingers and the wrists, and work your way in. And it's a way to keep track that you've actually gotten to all the joints. You could even start at the feet and work your way up if you wanted, something like that. And so we're lifting up and extending the leg. So as we lift the leg up, the quadriceps contracting, the lengthening in the torso and the toes, the ankle is flexing, and the tops of the toes are flexing. So it looks like this. Rather than toes pointed, it looks like this when we lift up. And then when we go back down, we just relax the feet. So we're flexing, and the heel presses away. As we flex the foot in, we bring the toes in, the heel, think about it moving away. Perhaps you can even feel it moving away, and the back of the leg is extending. At the same time, we're extending the spine up. So go ahead and move the shoulder blades back and in. Let the arms come down, and see if you can get some lift in the chest at the same time without leaning back. So sometimes there's a tendency to lean back like this. Try to avoid that. Think up, lean up. And then, of course, you can add an arm. So each time we remove, we add things, it becomes a little more challenging. So find something that's workable for you. You can keep the spine lifted. You could add potentially 2 arms if you can still keep things lifted. So as I'm lifting the foot up, the other foot's pressing down for support. And as I'm lifting the arms up, the sitting bones are pressing down and the spine is extending up. If you have trouble feeling that, go a little slower and focus on feeling the lengthening of the spine even as you're raising the arm or arms and leg up. And of course, the other, you could do all 4. Both legs, both arms. It's more challenging. Make sure you can keep the spine lifted here. If this is still too easy, move away from the back of the chair. It gets to be pretty challenging to lift the arms and lift the legs and be able to extend the spine up. And then if that's still too easy, go slower. Go slower and then see how challenging it can become. And this is the beginning of, we might call this like a boat pose or Navasana in our asana practice. It's really a utilizing the core of the body in kind of a V shape where we lift the legs up and have the arms out like this. So sitting up nice and tall. And let's see. So I think we kind of covered everything. Let's do some postures. And we're going to start with our tree pose. Sitting up nice and tall. We'll do it twice. I'll show it first seated and then standing. And you're welcome to do it either way, whichever ways you prefer, both times. So remember, it's your practice. So you have to decide, how do I want to practice today? And then we step one foot out, keeping the torso straight ahead. So go ahead and lift that foot up for a moment. And then place just the toes back down. So we're feeling more of the weight on this side without leaning though. Try not to lean, firm the core up so that when you lift the foot up, you can extend up without leaning so much. A little bit is okay, but we're trying to avoid this being leaning way to the side. So we lift up and then we bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the outside of the chair leg. And then sitting up nice and tall, we can add the arms. So typically it's either in front like this, out to the side, or even up over the head. Keeping the elbows bent is a little bit easier on the shoulders. And it's a little easier on the shoulders like this as well, keeping this openness in the chest and releasing the arms down. You can even work with the hands and arms down like this. We want to keep the spine lifted here. And this front foot, this one right here, is pressing down for support. The sitting bone on that side is pressing down for support. So there's a down in the leg, up in the torso. Lightness. And then whenever you're ready with control, you can bring the arms back down, bring the foot back, and come back to your mountain pose. Maybe even wiggle the bottom for a minute back and forth. So feel the sitting bones. And now we're going to step to the other side. So we step that foot out. Most of the weight is now on this opposite leg, opposite foot. Extend the spine up. Make sure the torso is facing the same direction as the knee and the toes on this front leg. And then we can lift the opposite foot. So feel what it feels like when you take the weight away. Get the core of the body working here to extend the spine up and then bring the sole of the foot on the outside of the chair leg. So we're pressing down, extending up, and then adding the arms, however you want. However feels comfortable, add the arms. The nice thing about doing this seated is you could potentially begin to close the eyes. As long as it feels comfortable. It is a little bit, with only one foot firmly in contact with the floor, our balance won't feel quite as good, won't feel quite as steady. And then whenever you're ready, you can come back down, come back to the front, and sit up nice and tall. Take a couple of breaths. Let's do a couple cactus breaths. Inhale, exhale. Let the arms swing open, almost like a bird flapping its wings. And then the next one is standing. So you're welcome to repeat it seated like we just did, or you can do it standing. Any balance issues, please have a chair handy. You can always just touch the chair like this with your hands. Notice I'm not leaning. So standing up nice and tall in our mountain pose, just bend the knees slightly and straighten the legs. So bending the knees slightly is just a little dip like this. And I'm feeling the feet pressing the soles of the feet into the floor and a firmness in the buttocks, firmness in the belly, and the thighs are moving back. So there's a firmness in the quadriceps. And as the quadriceps contract, the kneecaps lift up and the backs of the knees open. The only thing to be mindful about is if you hyperextend your knees, if they bend backwards too much, so that the bend in the leg is like, the curve is like, not like this, but the opposite. I can't do it. You want to just have straight legs. We do not want to hyperextend our knees. It's hard on our knee joint. So we straighten, we stand up tall, and then we step the foot out. So same thing as when we were seated. Feel the foot pressing into the floor. Go ahead and lift that opposite foot. So there's not much weight there. We're balanced on this other leg. So bring our attention there. Find that drishti point, something that won't move. You can bring the sole of the foot on the inside of the calf. Face and eyes are relaxed. And then you can add the arms however you want. Remember to breathe, feeling the spine extending up, feeling lightness in the body. There's an opening in that front groin of the bent leg. The heart is lifting. There's a lightness. Find a lightness in the body here. And then whenever you're ready, you can lower the arms down, bring the foot back down, just shake out a little. Always balancing. So when we get into a pose, think about balancing ease and effort. So any pose that we're in, let go of some of the effort. See if you can find some ease. And we need to go a little bit kind of back and forth to find that sweet spot. Standing up nice and tall in mountain pose, stepping the opposite foot out. So now it's this opposite leg extending down into the ground, into the earth. We can lift up that other foot, extending the spine up, bringing the sole of the foot on the inside of the calf. So lengthening the spine up, and then when you're ready, you can add the arms. So the foot is pressing, the leg is lengthening, the spine is lengthening, the back of the neck is lengthening. We have our drishti point, something that won't move. Focus the gaze there. The groin is opening slightly on the side, the bent leg side. Remember to breathe. Maybe even smile. Think about all the trees outside and all the leaves, all the birds in the trees, their homes, birds' nests, baby birds. Where would we be without trees? And then go ahead and lower down. Let's swing the arms. Let's do triangle pose next. So we'll do that one. We'll do it twice. And I'll show it first seated. If you'd like to do it standing, if you know how, then go ahead and you're welcome to do that. So the feet can be, or the legs can be bent like this, and the ankle underneath the knee, knee and toes in alignment. Or you could even extend the legs like this. If you're going to extend, you'll need to be forward in the chair near the front edge so that the legs can actually extend down. So if you need the support of the chair, then you're going to want to keep your legs bent like this. I'll show it this way today. So we'll inhale and exhale, release down. So each time we inhale, get a feeling of lifting of the spine up as we're gently pressing the heels or the feet down. So our support comes from the feet and the sitting bones. So it's almost like we're flapping our wings here. And as we inhale, we flap up and we get a feeling of lengthening in the spine, lightness. And now this time, inhale, reach the arms out and go ahead and reach out towards the side and then bring the hand down anywhere on the leg. And then come back up as you inhale. So exhale on the other side. And inhale up, exhale. If you wanted to, you could pause in the extended position for a breath. Exhaling, and then in position, we inhale. And then we come up on the inhalation. Inhale and exhale. Or you could continue to go back and forth dynamically. So it's your choice. We can hold the position for a breath, or we could just do the whole thing dynamically, which means that we're generally moving most of the time. But still with the breath. We're always breathing normally. We're not holding the breath. Even when we pause in position, we would not hold the breath. And then come on up. Actually, let's do one more on the other side. And then come on up and lower the arms down and bring the feet back. Come back to mountain pose. Sit up nice and tall. So take a rest here for just a moment. Let the breath calm back down. And let's go ahead and, so you can repeat that seated if you want, or I'll show it standing. We'll stand up. We always start in mountain pose. So we'll start in mountain pose and then we step the feet apart. Sometimes if you want to get wider, you can work the feet kind of toe heel like this. Remembering that the wider the feet are, the more challenging it is for balance. So you might want to have a chair handy if there's any concern for balance. And extending the arms. And let's try that again with the inhale up, lengthening the spine, and exhale down. Inhale up, lengthen, lift the heart, and down. One more time. Inhale up. And then extending out through the fingertips. The next time you exhale, we're going to begin to reach out, keeping this lower part lengthened, and then go ahead and lower the hand down. And then inhale up. So we'll do it dynamically first, or I'll show it dynamically. Of course, you're always welcome to modify. It's your own practice. So if you prefer to hold the pose, you can. Just remember to breathe. And depending on how your shoulders feel, that top arm might actually go further up, but no higher than 90 degrees. So we want we don't want to be up like this. We want 90 degrees. And one more time on each side. And then come on up, lower the arms down, and then we need to bring the feet back in. So toe heeling like this is good, or walking in small steps like this, kind of a penguin, like a penguin walk. Try to avoid jumping quickly. Let's sit back down. Actually, let's you have a choice here. You can stay seated and swing, or you can stand and swing. So the knees are soft here. Knees are soft. And let's sit back down. Do one more turning before we begin to warm down. I'm going to swing the arms. I'm going to inhale and exhale. So as I inhale, I'm thinking about lifting the heart up, using the momentum from the arm. So it's a gentle swing, but I'm lifting the heart up with the rise of the arms. And it's almost like the arms swinging up carries the rest of the torso up just a little bit, a micro amount. So this is a micro lift, a micro lift. And it is a way to help give a little more lift to the spine, a little more space between the vertebrae, or maybe less pressure on the discs might be a better thing, better way to think about it. Because we're not really pulling the vertebra apart per se, because they're usually pretty locked in, or they're, the ligaments. There's a ligament, all the tissues, there's many, many tissues that hold the vertebra together. So we're going to inhale, extend up, and then as we exhale, we're going to let the hands float down to the right. Just like we did before, we have that front hands on the outside of the knee, and that back hand can come anywhere behind you. It can come to the outside edge of the chair here. It can reach more in the middle. You can be flat on the back, on the seat of the chair, or it can reach to the other side like this. And this is our passive turn. So the knees are pointed straight ahead still. Inhaling and exhaling, relaxing the shoulders. So we inhale up. Giving a little sigh to help release. And then the next inhalation, we extend up. And we can still sigh, but we're going to turn back. Let's do the other side. So we swing the arms first to get some length in the spine, to get lightness in the chest. And then inhale up, and then exhale, turn to the opposite side. So that front hand, the right hand is on the outside of the left knee, and that other hand is somewhere behind you, depending on how far you want to turn. Inhaling, extending up. Little sigh. One more, inhale. And this time we'll inhale and give a sigh as we turn back. And let's turn to the opposite side for a moment. And then come back. We'll do some sun breaths. Inhale. So circling around. And then the other way. Perhaps there's a little more, the spine moves a bit more freely after our practice. So you might notice a small difference in the sun breathing. Hopefully. And if not, that's okay too. And resting the hands somewhere on the thighs of the knees, finding a spot that's most comfortable so that you can sit with ease and rest. Probably using the back of the chair here. Feeling the bottoms of the feet even on the floor or in the shoes. Feeling the thighs, backs of the thighs even on the seat of the chair. The sitting bones are even. Shoulders are relaxed, face and eyes are soft. Arms, fingers, and hands are relaxed. Notice the breath rising and falling. Sitting up nice and tall. Exhaling, softening, relaxing, letting go. Allowing the breath to become a little slower, more subtle. And allowing less effort. Not trying so hard. So this completes our practice for today. Thank you for practicing. Please stay a little longer if you have a few minutes in Shavasana. It's a really important pose. It's one that we can easily do on our own, which is why we always end with it, and we can continue even after the class is done. Of course, anytime during the day, you can always come back to your Shavasana. If you can just sit down for even 5 minutes, anytime, in a chair, on the couch, feeling supported, and just breathing, closing the eyes, feeling the diaphragmatic breath. And just allowing things to relax. That is our Shavasana. So thank you all very much. Namaste.